Confirmation of just how much Newcastle United can spend this summer coming up, as well as 2 new targets and a new contract for our star man. Happy Friday everyone, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we get closer and closer to 42,000 of you lovely lot locked in on a daily basis. And there's loads of Newcastle United news to get stuck into, so let's waste no time, get the specs on and get going. First of all, just want to shout out the young mags, Tino and Big Willie. It's not the same person. Asula, right? Asula and Livermento last night, absolutely class for their respective nations. Tino picked up the Man of the Match award for England, and William Asula came off the bench to rescue Denmark. He got a goal and an assist for the Danes there. So well done to them two lads, shining on the international stage at the under-21 Euros. We absolutely love to see that, and long may it continue. No, we're going to get into the juicy stuff now, the financial stuff from Kieran Maguire, the transfer expert, the finance expert. He's talked about Newcastle United spending this summer and what is capable. He said, in his quotation marks, a £60 million player on a £120,000 a week contract will be booked for PSR purposes as costing $18 million a season. So this is the thing, right? Just break that one down briefly. When we think, oh, 60 million for that player, we know now it's never up front. It's like with Manu with 62.5 million with Cunha, it's meant to be spread across a bloody 6-year period. So they're paying, 10 million a year pretty much for Cunha. And that's the crack with Newcastle and what their clubs try and do. That's how Chelsea got around it. Remember, there was 9-year contracts they were dishing out not so long ago. That's now been blocked. But that's a way of doing it. You don't just go to Brentford. Let's just use the example of Mbumo. We're getting to him in a minute. Some hilarious news potentially on the horizon there. I would absolutely love to see it like King Kev. 60 million, it's not like you slap down the 60 million for Mbumo and you have to pay that there and then he comes, has his medical, signs on the dotted line, and he gets that done and dusted there. The 60 million is an instalment, it's spread out there. He's just said there, on average, a 60 million player earning 120 grand a week, that costs us 18 million a season. So that's 80 million for one player there. So you're getting a top player, hopefully, at that value. A 60 million pound player, that's Isak, pretty much, wasn't it? 63 from Sociedad a few years ago, on 120,000 pound a week, equates to 18 million per season. So, if we bought 2 of them, so spent 120 million pound on 2 players, and we're giving 2 players 120 grand a week, 240 in total, we could easily do that, because we actually got more than that for qualifying for the Champions League. So never mind your ticket revenue, your Adidas deal, all that sort of stuff. Just for qualifying for the Champions League, we've got over 120 million pounds. Now we know it goes on a 3-year rolling period, but we're good now because of the last one. That's why we're waiting until July to start being active in the window. So we can sign 2 of those players comfortably this summer. That's what the financial expert Kieran Maguire is saying on Newcastle United spending. He was right all along. He's always right, to be fair. He's got books on it. He goes on podcasts, on Sky Sports News, articles, the lot. The bloke's literally the man to speak to on football financing, on PSR, on FFP. He got it right last year. He predicted Newcastle would have to, sell these players before the deadline. He's saying Aston Villa will have to do that now. That's why, we're looking at Jacob Ramsey, a long target of ours. And Newcastle look good this year. He says, yep, they're comfortable, they're good. They could easily go out and spend 120 million on 2 players. And that's it. That's without player sales. So imagine if we just go ahead, for example's sake, spend 60 million on Gehi and 60 million on João Pedro. There's them 2 players. There's your centre-back and your forward line sorted in those 2 areas. Then you could make sales. Then you could sell Sean Longstaff. Then you could sell Joe Willock. Then you could get money here and there and maybe bring in some revenue elsewhere. Can we get the bloody sponsor at the training ground? Can we get a sponsor on the training wear kit? Can you maybe do a name and right sponsor for St. James Park for the next few years before we get the new stadium? All these sort of things can accumulate, build up, and then you could even spend more. So, I think I've said all along, we're going to spend this summer. We will make 3 or 4 big signings. If we made them 2 big signings there, 60 million a piece, and then you get in 2 or 3 more players, maybe 2 more, and then one's like a backup midfielder or whatever, another goalkeeper probably, then you're good. You're going to be spending north of 150 million. And then with your player sales, we're laughing, man. So that's why I keep telling just patience. Patience. It's a long window. The first one's closed. That one's gone. The next one's coming up next week, and then we're open until September. So there is loads of time for Newcastle to get deals done. I see people in the comments on every video we do saying, I don't think we're going to sign anyone. I understand the frustration, and I understand that because we've been doing that the last few windows. We haven't been signing anyone. Apart from Lloyd Kelly here or there, we've done now. So I get why people are saying, no, we're not going to sign anyone again. Because that's recent memory. That's recency bias. That's what's in your mind. But we need to get rid of that. Because we're going to go back. This summer we are going back to the good old days of 2 years ago. Of the Tonali days. That's what we're doing. The Tino days. Alright, that's what we're doing. we'll be making those big signings. Players, a couple of them through the door at least, worth 50, 60 million, and then maybe 2 more, maybe, at a lower fee, depending on sales and stuff. Never know, if Anthony Gordon goes to Liverpool or we get 80 million for another player, whatever, then that could all change and go even further than that. So let's just have patience, have faith, and hope that the deals do get done, because more names have been linked to Newcastle today, and one of them is Sporting Lisbon centre-back Ousmane Diamande, and I would love this lad. What a player he is, an absolute unit at the back, great technical player, fantastic, experience in a good league there, experience in winning trophies, experience in the Champions League. Diamande is really highly thought of, and that would be an expensive one, probably 45, 50 mil. But if the Guéhi saga drags on, this is coming from the Telegraph and other sources amongst these speculations today with these players' names being linked. Diamande is right up there as a Guéhi plan B, basically. So it's good that we've got that this summer, because we didn't have a plan B for Guéhi last year, did we? It was Guéhi or bust, and we ended up bust, to be honest, because we didn't out. So if we struggle with Guéhi, if Palace are being nice and tight and hard to deal with once more, then we know we can just go in for a Diamande. You know, Sporting, they would sell at the right price. These foreign clubs do that. Although, I know Gyökeres, they're having a nightmare with him and disagreements over gentleman agreements and handshakes over how much he'd be sold for and stuff. But Diamande, surely we could just jump in there, decent bid, and make it happen. He's been scouted by Newcastle for years. Diamande is what this article is saying, and they have watched him very closely, and they see him as a top alternative to Guéhi. Now, Eddie Howe still wants Guéhi, still wants his Brexit bar, still wants these British players. You know, he's trying to build that back line, the English wall, we'll call it. You know what I mean? At the Toon, he wants his Trafford in goal. He wants Dan Burns already there, Lewis Hall, Tino Livramento, Guéhi. He's got the full whack. He's got the back five. You know, you'd absolutely love it. Pope was good enough to be in the England squad, then he'd be sweet. Diamande would mix things up. I like Diamande. I like the player. I like what I've seen of him, the profile of him. I think he'd be a top addition, and you know, you'll only end up going up somewhere else in the Premier League and having a blind hand. It'll be one of them you look at and think, should have signed him. Hopefully, I would be very happy with just moving on to Diamande now. If we can't get this thing sorted with Guéhi, and we know Palace are going to play hardball like they did last year, just move on to Diamande. Let me know what you think of him in the chat, if you've watched much of him, you've seen much of him, or drop another defender's name in there you'd like us to see pursue. Mark Douglas at the Eye has confirmed rumours of Newcastle looking at Aston Villa as a potential exploitation of PSR at the end of this month, and again, it is that name, Jacob Ramsey, that has been linked with the club. We talked about him at the start of the week. He said it is one to watch with Villa currently under PSR issues. So we've had a long-term interest in the midfielder. Eddie Howe did try and sign him a couple of Januaries ago, so that is definitely one to watch. It's one I think will happen. I'm pretty sure of it. We'll put a bid in of around 25-30 million for Ramsey at the end of this month, so definitely keep an eye on that one, and then see if Woodard goes to another club in London, and that gets the ball rolling on a bit of player trading that we haven't really done successfully since the takeover, apart from obviously Kelly in January and Almiron, I suppose. But before that, now, you know, Wood going to Forest and stuff, but we're really struggling with it, and the big clubs do it. Villa have done it, you know, selling Durant to bloody Saudi, and, you know, Douglas Luiz and the rest of them. So Newcastle are going to have to do it, and if we can do it with a Willock and a Longstaff instead of an Isak or a Bruno, much better for us. Now then, João Pedro is a name that keeps on getting banded about as well. He's constantly rumoured in Newcastle. Liverpool might also have a sniff at him now after signing Verts for a Premier League record fee today. Mental stuff, big signing that. Jurgen Klopp said they didn't spend any money, couldn't spend any money. Newcastle ceiling was this big. Fucking hell. Crazy stuff. Big money there. But they have won the league, so fair play to them. But now they are spending the cash like Man City and like everyone else. But Brighton are asking for £60 million for the Brazilian forward Pedro, and Newcastle are actually willing to negotiate around that ballpark figure. So we might be offering a 55 mil with add-ons, something like that. We are happy to talk to Brighton, and we are in discussions with Brighton about João Pedro to get him to sign and to get a fee agreed for around that 60 million mark. I find that surprising, because you know Pedro wants to be a number 9, he wants to be the main man. Isak stays, we'll get to that in a second. Then he's not going to be, unless he's thinking about a formation change anyhow. That's been the rumour mill the last week or so, with the targets in mind, or we're going to mix things up. Is Pedro going to play behind Isak? Is Isak going to go to the left? Pedro's going to be the 9 down the middle. We'll wait and see, but it's got to be in his plans, because you don't spend 60 million on a Pedro to have him sit on the bench. I mean, it's wonderful if you can, it'd be lovely if you could, but one, PSR and FFP, you're not going to splash that cash on someone who's not going to start, and I don't think João would be a very happy Brazilian bunny if he was sat on the bench every week. So the player was very likely to leave Brighton this summer. He's allowed to go. He's had a falling out with Hurts, a lot of Brighton gaffer and people behind the scenes there. So that's not a good sign But and he's had a few red cards and that. But apart from that, it's absolutely sound. You know what I mean? He'll tame the Brazilian, Joe Linton, Bruno, they'll settle him down. I'd love to see him. I think he's a quality player. And I know his 10 goals last year isn't outstanding. 5 of them were pens. But I just think as an overall player and what he brings to the team, he is a quality addition. So I'd love to see him in black and white. It would be interesting to spend that much money, though, to see how he is going to be fitted in. And apparently Pedro himself is very keen on a move to Tyneside. Of course, he's seen the weather today, 25 degrees. Bloody lovely. So he's after it. He wants to move to Newcastle. He wants a new challenge. Brighton want the money, and Newcastle are happy to get in and around that figure of 60 million quid. So that could be an exciting one. A big move, that means. And obviously, again, just like Ramsey, just like Gahey, Eddie Howe's got his targets in mind. Eddie Howe wanted João Pedro a couple of years ago. 30 million was a here we go from Romano. It was a here we know in the end because we turned our attentions to Isak once we knew he was available from Real Sociedad. Now we could have the pair of them at the Toon in long sleeves in the Champions League next season. That would be unreal. Exciting stuff on that one. So speaking of Alexander Isak then, if he's going to battle it out with João Pedro up front, if he's going to be part of the mix with both of them starting together, it's got to be that way, hasn't it? But Isak obviously set to stay at Newcastle, and I tell you what, mentioning Wirtz before, and the price that he has went for, what is it, 126 million or something in total? That has just driven Isak's price right up as well. Alexander Isak, everyone laughed at the time, but he ain't laughing now. When I said 150 million for Isak on Arsenal Fan TV on DR Sports and I was getting laughed at, he was laughing now. Because if Wirtz, a young German in the Bundesliga, goes for 126 million, Isak, Premier League proven, one of the best strikers in the world, one of the most informal strikers in the world for the past 18 months or so now, he's worth 150 million now. Easy. I mean, you lot watching, Newcastle fans, most of you might agree, and we know it because we're seeing week in and week out, see how good he is, we rate him that highly, but other fans laughed and giggled and mocked, like TalkSport did to me at the start of the season. How did that one play out? And now, they're seeing it, because if Wirtz goes that much, Isak's worth that, and more. So, amazing. No one can afford him. You know, Arsenal desperate for a striker, talking about Benjamin Sesko, talking about Victor Gyökeres, talking about Victor Osimhen. Well, they're not talking about Alexander Isak anymore. And the talk is today that new talks with Isak are penciled in for late this summer. And there is big confidence that he will agree to the deal and sign the dotted line to become Newcastle United's highest earner at the club. That'll be an excessive amount of £200,000 a week, and well bloody deserved, if you ask me. Yeah? Well deserved indeed. So Isak could be saying on the dotted line, nice little extension. He does still have, what is it, still 3 years on his deal, so it's not like it's running out anytime soon. But now he'll be saying a new, 4 or 5 year deal on 220 a week, whatever it may be. That's a massive signal of intent from Newcastle. Like a new signing, as Ashley and Pardew would once say. But it is a huge, it's a huge statement, isn't it? Getting Isak, shutting everyone up, signing it. It's nothing to say that someone couldn't come in for him next year. You know what I mean? But it just gives you a bit of security for then and make sure you get a great sell-on price. Massive valuation will go up if he continues the goal scoring form, which he just will because he's absolutely unreal. Hopefully, if he comes back from a strong pre-season, he needs to get that grind issue sorted out, which I'm sure he will though. But he's at new contract as well, so amazing news. It's a positive, happy Friday, everyone. Sun shining, loads of exciting news, loads of good, positive vibes here. So we're absolutely buzzing with that news as well. Let's finish on a little laugh towards Manchester United. Now, it's not confirmed yet, but it would be funny if it happens, and it's even just a funny thought, that Brian Mbeumo is now in talks with Spurs. Thomas Frank, his manager from Brentford, is now officially confirmed as Spurs' new manager after Postecoglou got the sack after winning the first trophy in 17 years. Well, now he's trying to take Brian with him. Go on, Thomas, get Brian together. Bring him in. Honestly, after Manu fans, the amount of grief I've been getting on these YouTube videos from Manu fans in the comment sections, Manu fans on our social media pages, on everywhere, on Twitter, for any general Newcastle news. They've been giving it, see, you thought you were big now, Newcastle are tiny, you're a crap club, tiny club, we are United, you're not, and all that. If he just went to the Spurs instead, that would be hilarious. After Spurs beat them in the final and all, this would be amazing news. Because, Manu have agreed personal terms with Mbeumo, that they're happy to pay him 250 grand a week, but they can't agree personal terms with Brentford yet. They're trying to play a hard ball a little bit, offered 45 plus 10 at the start, and now it's dragging on. Spurs are going to just swoosh in. Frank's like, come to Spurs with me, Brian. We've got big plans. Yeah, look how nice the stadium is, the training ground. Just won my first trophy. Might spend a bit of money this summer. Got a decent enough squad here as it is. Come to Spurs. Be our main attacker. Boom. There you go. Selling the dream. Stay in London. Even better, bigger house in this part. Wicked. More money. You could see it happening, and it would be fucking hilarious. I would love it. Absolutely love it, man. If he chooses Spurs and denies Manu, and then I'll be right back in them comment sections. He may not sign for us, but he still didn't sign for you, and we've got Isak on a new deal. So, see you later, Red Devils. Mugs. But we'll wait and see. He might still go to Manu, but either way, even just this, as funny as it is. But there we go, there's a lot crammed into one quick video for you lot on a Friday afternoon. Hope you have a great weekend, everyone. I'm at San Fen tomorrow night, can't bloody wait for it. So if you see us out and about, say hello, enjoy yourselves, enjoy the weather, subscribe to the channel, I'll see you in the next one.